So, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody.
So just speaking nice and slow, a couple of lines. So I can hear you.
All the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. Is that okay?
Just make sure it's nice and slow and still speak out.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
That's fine. I'll invite you up at the time. Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see you all, and especially to welcome our choir back again. So we will begin with the choir's prelude. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Roslyn Hill Chapel, a spiritual home for open minds. Isn't it wonderful to hear the choir again after such a long time? I'm Reverend Kate Dean. I'm proud to serve as the minister for this Unitarian spiritual community here in Hampstead in North London. Whoever you are and however you are, there is a place for you here this morning. And I extend an especially warm welcome if you've been married in the chapel, or if indeed you have ever been in love, because this today is our wedding special service in fellowship with other Unitarian congregations. It is a celebration of love to mark Santes Dwynwen Day, the Welsh patron saint of love and lovers. We have our children's chapel and creche today, Bright Lights, for children aged 2 and above. And babies under 2 are welcome to join in the creche but need to be accompanied by an adult. As you can see, we have returned to in-person services in the chapel building, and you're not required to book in advance anymore. However, we do still request that you take the precautions of using hand sanitizer, wearing your masks at all times, especially in congregational hymn singing, and maintaining social distance where you can. For this reason, we won't be serving refreshments after the service, I'm afraid, until next Sunday, until February. Now, if you're watching at home, you can join us for tea and conversation in the virtual side aisle, which is at midday. Welcome, Tobias. And the Zoom link was sent out in our weekly update email, and it's also in the Connect link on the YouTube description. And you can sign up to our emails via our chapel website, where you can find more information about all of the activities that go on in this special place. This afternoon at 2 p.m, we are holding a death cafe to discuss end-of-life matters over tea and cake. And this evening, our pagan ceremony at 7 p.m. marks the cross-quarter day of Imulk, or Candlemas, the beginning of spring. And we have a lovely spring-ish day today. There are still a few places left at the Death Cafe, so if you'd like to come along, please do register in advance via our website in order to attend. We are an independent registered charity, and so we do rely on your contributions to continue our work. You can donate using the donate button on our website, or donate via cash or card at the end of the service. And thank you for the many ways that you contribute to our spiritual community through your time, your talent, and your treasure. I'm now going to invite our long-serving chapel member, Shirley King, to tell us more about this special Saint's Day.
Santes Dwynwen is the Welsh saint of love and lovers. St. Dwynwen's Day is celebrated each year on the 25th of January. Dwynwen was a 4th century princess who lived as a child in Brycheiniog, in what is now the Brecon Beacons National Park. She was one of the 24 daughters of King Brychan, and reputedly one of the prettiest. He also had 12 sons, making it a total family of children of 36. She fell in love with the prince, Maelon, but her father had pledged her to another prince, so they were forbidden to marry. She ran off into the woods to pray that God would make her forget her love. She fell asleep, and an angel visited her with a special potion, making her forget Maelon and turning him into a block of ice. Then God granted her 3 wishes: for her love to be thawed, that God would make the dreams and hopes of lovers everywhere come true, and that she herself would never marry. Her wishes were granted, and Dwynwen dedicated her life to God. With her brother and sister, she traveled around Wales establishing churches. She finally settled on the beautiful island of Llanddwyn, just off Ynys Môn, Anglesey. She became a nun and lived on her own on Ynys Llanddwyn, where she also founded a church. The remains of that church can still be seen along with a holy well. It's been a place of pilgrimage for centuries, with reports of people being cured of physical ills by the water of the holy well. It's a beautiful, sacred, peaceful spot, and reputedly, all sickness of the heart disappears when you are there.
Thank you, Shirley. We light our chalice today, the symbol of our liberal faith, with words by Dick Jones, read by Shirley in Welsh and English.
This poem by Dick Jones is called Priodas, which is the Welsh for marriage and wedding. I'll read a translation of these lines first. 2 hearts, 1 wish, 2 tongues, but 1 language, 2 ropes that join connected, 2 souls, but 1 journey. 2 galan, 1 deheuad, 2 dafod, ond 1 iaith, 2 raff yn cydiwn ddolen, 2 enaid, ond 1 daith.
Now, it's wonderful to see so many of you here, but before we greet one another, I'd like anyone who has been married in the chapel to please stand up. You can sit down. I also was standing up because I got married here too, about 7 years ago. Now please do turn to someone near you and say your name and welcome them to chapel this morning. So in a moment, I'll ask you to stand and join us for the first hymn. We've chosen hymns today with Welsh tunes, but Unitarian words, or Unitarian friendly words, let's say. The words of this hymn are in your service sheet, and I think there are a few more service sheets at the back if you need them. So please stand after the introduction for the healing of the nations. seated. Now, Shirley has our story for today, and it's probably a bit more for the grown-ups than the children, and so kids can stay seated with their adults, please. This one is an extract from Under Milkwood by Dylan Thomas.
Dylan Thomas wrote Under Milkwood, a radio play for voices. And in this extract, it's a very affectionate picture of two lovers, Mr. Mog Edwards, who is a draper, and Miss Mavanwi Price, who is a dressmaker and sweet shopkeeper. And they are asleep at separate ends of the town, and they are dreaming of each other, and we listen to their dreams. From where you are, you can hear in Cockle Row in the spring moonless night. Miss Price, dressmaker and sweet shopkeeper, dream of her lover, tall as the town clock tower, Samson syrup gold-maned, whacking-thighed and piping hot, thunderbolt-based and barnacle-breasted, flailing up the cockles with his eyes like blow lamps, and scooping low over her lonely, loving, hot water bottled body. Mavanwi Price, Mr. Mog Edwards, I am a draper, mad with love. I love you more than all the flannelette and candlecore, Candlewick, dimity, crash and merino, tussor, creton, crepon, muslin, poplin, ticking and twill in the whole cloth hall of the world. I have come to take you away to my emporium on the hill, where the change hums on wires. Throw away your little bed socks and your Welsh wool knitted jacket. I will warm the sheets like an electric toaster. I will lie by your side like the Sunday roast. I will knit you a wallet of forget-me-not blue for the money to be comfy. I will warm you a heart by the fire so that I can slip it in under your vest when the shop is closed. Mavanwi, Mavanwi, before the mice gnaw at your bottom drawer, will you say, yes, Mog, yes, Mog, oh, yes, yes, yes. And all the bells of the tills of the town shall ring for our wedding. I must add, I too was married in the Unitarian Church. Terry and I, many years ago, were married in Highland Place Unitarian Church in Aberdare in the South Wales Valleys. So I'm part of the club today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Shirley. And now let's sing our children out to their Bright Lights activities. The words are in your service sheet. And now, after that excitement, I invite you into a time of prayer and meditation. We come together in fellowship each Sunday with hearts full of joy and full of concern. If you are holding someone in your heart this morning, I invite you to say their name aloud in the coming moments of stillness, so that we may also hold them in our prayers. Spirit of life and love, God of our hearts, we give thanks for those who bring us joy, and we pray for the safekeeping of those whom we hold in concern. For all those names, spoken and unspoken, may they be surrounded by the loving kindness that we offer them today. Blessed be, and amen. And if you are holding a joy or concern in your heart, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle later in the service during our music for reflection. And now I invite Alex Economou-Lee to come forward and give our first reading. Alex was married to his wonderful bride last year.
Reflection on the Song of Solomon by Reverend Dr. Patrick O'Neill. Set me as a seal upon your heart, that from this day I may become the keeper of your dreams, your certain haven in the storm. That from this wedding hour our companioned path no steep may fail to climb, nor flood may fail to ford. Give your hand in mine, and I shall match your pace, and will outrace the stars, outrun the moon, outdance the setting sun. Sing to me your sorrows, and I shall hold them gentle through the night, till, leavened with our love, the daylight makes them bearable again. Betroth me to your laughter, espouse me to your joy, and we shall make a home for promises, and a place for our hearts to age. Only set me as a seal upon your heart, that from this day I may become the helpmate of your hopes.
Thank you, Alex. I now invite Sally Ward, the most recent person to become a chapel member, to come forward and share her authorised reflections.
Hi. I was also married in a Unitarian church in Macclesfield, and despite the fact it was second time round for both of us, we have been married for 26 years, so we got it right that time. I'm an authorised person, which means that I'm responsible for ensuring that all the legal requirements are met in order for a marriage between two people to be legal. And I do that here, and I also do that at New Unity Chapel. Previously, I did it in Macclesfield, which is in Cheshire, for those of you who don't know. And prior to that, I was a registrar for the local authority, which is the same job but involves weddings in many different venues and sometimes several a day. So I've been careering around the Cheshire countryside, occasionally really trying to get there on time. I tried to add it up. I reckon I've officiated at about 500 weddings. About 200 of those I've led the ceremony, which I also do separately as a celebrant. You can't do that legally. You have to be in an approved place in England and Wales. My own son ran off to Scotland to get married so that he could get married on the beach, where that's legal. Last year, the job changed a bit because legislation changed to improve the system. And in particular, the mother's name of both parties can now appear on the certificate, which is nice, but it all went electronic. So it makes it easier, but less creative, because I used to like writing the fancy names in the great big register, which in most churches there's 2 of, so you have to write it all out neatly. But it's less stressful now. The emphasis, however, is still on being very accurate, but you have to put the couple at ease as well. I made some notes about what to mention, and it read like a list of chapters in my book that I'm not going to ever write. So it went hair on fire, the wrong bra, do I have to count that marriage, one was gay, one was a bully, my mum might arrive to object, and all you need is love. So I'll very quickly tell you about what 1 or 2 of those mean. I brought the wrong bra was literally a girl. When you do it for the local authority, you're often in the same place they're staying, or they've stayed the night before, and you had to go into their room to ask them the question. I've never found a bride, a groom, or anybody crying because they don't want to get married, or they've changed their mind, or they're scared even. But this girl was in floods of tears, and I said to her, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I brought the wrong bra." She managed to sort it out. One of the things I have to do is ask people very carefully to make sure what's written on the paperwork is accurate. And that involved, for a long time now it involves the mother as well, but it used to just be the father. What was your father's occupation? I did have somebody who once said full-time idiot. I couldn't write that on there. I've also had a sandwich artist and a theatre director who sent tickets to a show afterwards, so that was nice. Do I have to count that marriage was because you have to ask everyone, have you ever been married or through any form of civil ceremony before in this country or any other? And one of the brides said no, and her own father said, "But what about that Italian guy?" And she went, "Oh, that was over very quickly. I don't have to count that, do I?" Yes, you do, unfortunately, and they couldn't get married that day. And then I married a much older lady in her 80s, and you also have to, when they say they've been previously divorced, you have to say, "And how did that marriage end?" Which means divorce or their partner died. But she'd been married twice before, and she did say, "Oh, one was gay and one was a bully." So that was a good explanation. Just very quickly mention my favourite times of marrying people. One was a Willy Wonka themed wedding where an Oompa Loompa played the guitar for the entrance of the bride. That was great fun. One was This Is All You Need Is Love, one where a whole troupe of musicians were hidden in the balcony, which in Macclesfield you've got them on either side, literally hiding like this, so they couldn't be seen. And right at the end, when I said to the happy couple, "So all you need is love," they stood up and started to play the Beatles' All You Need Is Love. It was a surprise for the groom by the bride, and he was like, "What?" It was quite wonderful. So I'll just leave you with one to ponder on. I thought the last chapter in my book, that I'm not going to write, reads more like a headline in the Daily Express, which is, "I married my daughter's ex-boyfriend." I'll leave you to work that one out. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Sally, for those amusing reflections. Our next reading is going to be given by Martine, and Martine and Claire are part of my extended family, and so I was so honoured to be asked by them to conduct their wedding in this chapel last year. So I invite Martine to come forward now.
I'm going to read a poem by Neil Gaiman, and it's All I Know About Love. This is everything I have to tell you about love. Nothing. This is everything I have learned about marriage. Nothing. Only that the world out there is complicated, and there are beasts in the night and delight and pain. And the only thing that makes it okay, sometimes, is to reach out a hand in the darkness and find another hand to squeeze, and not to be alone. It's not the kisses, or never just the kisses, it's what they mean. Somebody's got your back. Somebody knows your worst self and doesn't want to rescue you, or to send an army to rescue them. And it's not two broken hearts becoming one. It's the light from a distant lighthouse bringing you both safely home. Because home is wherever you are both together. So, this is everything I have to tell you about love and marriage. Nothing. It's like a book without pages, or a forest without trees. Because there are things you cannot know before you experience them. Because no study can prepare you for the joys or the trials. Because nobody else's love, nobody else's marriage is like yours. And it's a road you can only learn by walking it. A dance you cannot be taught. A song that did not exist before you began together to sing. And because in the darkness, you will reach out a hand, not knowing for certain if someone else is even there. And your hands will meet, and neither of you will ever need to be alone again. And that's all I know about love.
Thank you, Martine. And now let us hear a little more music from our choir. I think Shirley might have to help me out with the pronunciation. Calon Lan. Calon Lan. Lan, sorry. Calon Lan. Which means pure heart. Thank you, choir. Richard will give our next reading. He married Heidi in the only wedding held at the chapel in 2020. After many delays and rearrangements, we were so happy to celebrate with them, along with a small but perfectly formed group of wedding guests. Richard.
Thank you, Kate. One to remember, a COVID wedding. So, an excerpt from Captain Corelli's Mandolin by Louis de Bernier. Love is a temporary madness. It erupts like volcanoes and then subsides. And when it subsides, you have to make a decision. You have to work out whether your root was so entwined together that it is inconceivable that you should ever part. Because this is what love is. Love is not breathlessness. It is not excitement. It is not the promulgation of promises of eternal passion. That is just being in love, which any fool can do. Love itself is what is left over when being in love has burned away. And this is both an art and a fortunate accident. Those that truly love have roots that have grown towards each other underground. And when all the pretty blossoms have fallen from their branches, they find that they are one tree and not two.
Thank you, Richard. Let us now pray a prayer of thanksgiving. Spirit of life, God of our hearts, we give thanks for the supreme gift of love, and in particular, for the love that grows between two people who share their lives together. We celebrate the special qualities of committed, loving relationships, that of friendship, trust, and sharing. We recognize the tenderness of their ties and the strength of their obligations. May we cherish all those we love, and may they forgive us when we sometimes take their gifts for granted, so that we may all become blessings in this world. Amen. I invite the choir to come forward to sing our music for reflection. And a reminder, if you are holding a joy or concern in your heart, you are very welcome to come forward and light one of our candles for joys and concerns during this music. Mary and Maddie got married last year, and they also joined our spiritual community as chapel members. And here Mary shares her thoughts on why that ceremony was so special to both of them.
Hello. So as Kate's mentioned, myself and my partner Maddie recently got married here, and this is why I'm here to talk to you. So I grew up in the Catholic tradition. I was baptised and confirmed, and I went to Catholic schools. In Catholicism, each life event is marked by one of the sacraments. Baptism marks a person's entry into the world. Confirmation marks their growth into adulthood. Marriage marks their union with their partner. And the last rites eases their passing into the afterlife. The sacraments and the rituals they contain underpin the structure that flows through our lives. I was born in 1989, and at this time, Section 28 was present and active in all UK schools. This meant that no protection could be given to children who are being bullied or victimised due to their perceived or actual orientation. It was only repealed in 2003. In 2004, the Civil Partnership Act was passed, giving same-sex couples the same rights in law as married straight couples. I was 15, and in my heart that had been indoctrinated with the importance of rituals and sacraments, I knew that this wasn't the same. I grew up thinking that I would never get married. The dream of the white dress, the church, the flowers, the celebration. For me, it was inaccessible, impossible to achieve. I didn't feel like I was losing out. I just knew that this bit of life wasn't for me, and I moved on. Then when I was 24, in 2013, the Marriage Act was passed. It was a big step for the LGBT community, but for me, there was no internal shift. I was still unable to marry in the way that I felt what marriage was to be, unable to undertake the sacrament of marriage. I remember being at Greenbelt that year. Greenbelt is a Christian music festival. And I listened to a woman speak to a crowd of 250 people about how marriage was not for gay people. They, the Anglican community, had to find something else for the gays. And so again, I just put it to bed, and I moved on. As the years went on, I met my partner, Maddie, and in 2020, she proposed to me. I knew that the most important part of our wedding would be finding a church and a community in which we could wed. Unbeknownst to me, years prior, Maddie had spotted a sign on the chapel outside when she used to cycle up Roslyn Hill to work, saying that all were welcome to marry here. It was the final piece that allowed me to have what had seemed unattainable for so long. The "we're engaged" pictures on Facebook a very prolonged engagement because of COVID. We were just like all the other couples, just like everyone else, just like everyone on the telly with their weddings being postponed. Planning the wedding was a very surreal experience. It was as though the secret garden had been opened up and there was all these flowers and wildlife and trees. But for me, I'd never seen a simple garden fox before. I was slightly bamboozled at the range of options and the overwhelming choice. In the end, though, it was the happiest day of my life.
Thank you so much. Now let us all join together to sing our final hymn. Again, the lyrics are in your service sheet, The Golden City. Our closing blessing is from a Sanskrit prayer. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. For yesterday is already a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of contentment, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Blessed be. Amen. Please be seated. Except for the choir, who can come forward for our postlude. Thank you so much to our wonderful choir, and thanks to all of our contributors to the service. Please do stay for conversation, although I'm sorry we're not serving tea and coffee this afternoon, but enjoy each other's fellowship. Thanks to everyone. Oh, and I should remind you that Ben is at the back with the card reader if you'd like to make your contribution to our collection.